Hi, I'm Judy van Gelderen, landscape architect and director of KI Studio in Sydney. We're a multidisciplinary company who work both in Australia and overseas. I've always had a passion for water, and over the last 40 years I have researched and applied that research, analysed what happens in nature with water, and used that as inspiration for my work. So today I want to share some of those thoughts with you. I'm sitting on Wanggal land in Sydney, and I want to acknowledge the custodians of this land and pay my respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. They have a unique cultural and spiritual relationship to place. They respect the view that land, water and culture are interconnected and shouldn't be seen in isolation. My values and design philosophy are inspired from this culture, as it tells us if we care for country, it will care for us. Having grown up in rural New South Wales, where there's a maximum rainfall per annum of this much, 300 millimetres, it was always very clear in my conscience that water was important and we had to have respect for it. So when I became a landscape architect, I wanted to focus my passion on how to creatively capture this rainwater, clean the rainwater before releasing it downstream, be it a pipe system, a lake, a river, a creek, a dam. And as landscape architects, we do have a lot of scope to improve the environment, because we have to analyse the natural and physical elements, the soil, vegetation, geology, landform, as well as the water systems, and of course cultural and social influences. And I want to talk to you mainly about the main elements that have influenced my design. Today I want to share with you some inspirations on how water flows in nature and how I've used this information and other people's research to influence my designs with water, and how these influences actually clean the water. I also want to talk a little bit about water's consciousness, having just returned from the 37th Cato conference in Tokyo. Inspired by nature. A lot of research over the last 40 years points to the fact that we should be observing the flows and forms of water in its natural state. I want to share some key inspirations from Schauberger, Schultz to Emoto that have influenced my water designs. The first is that of the meandering form. Naturally flowing streams always endeavour to follow a meandering course, the path of least resistance. The meander is the pulse of the river. This form helps to clean the water, so by creating gentle meanders, whether it's in a river or canal, will also assist river health. When man interferes with this rhythm, for example straightening a watercourse, it causes a river to become aggressive and to flood. The Stan Moses Park Stream Restoration Project in Rockdale applied this technique of using meandering forms. We converted an existing straight stormwater channel into a meandering creek form that also partly reflected the historic alignment of the creek. This also helped to clean the stormwater prior to releasing it into Botany Bay. A vortex is usually described as whirling or circular motion mass of water forming a vacuum at its centre. In relation to designing water systems, a vortex is also referred to as a flow deflecting device. For example, in this photo where a natural rock is midstream, the water vortices that develop around this rock will re-energise the water by forming longitudinal vortices. These enhance the vitality of the life-enhancing elements, therefore the general health of the water. This image shows how vortices are generally generated at the bends of a river. Hence, vortices and river bends are closely intertwined. In designing new rivers or creeks, we need to understand that as well as currents flowing downstream, there are also revolving currents in the bed of the stream. These are called transverse or cross-sectional currents. To create revolving currents in slow-moving water, the banks need to be varied. This is also good for ecological health of the water. So by understanding how rivers flow, designers can recreate simulated water streams or features that are designed to accommodate the flows of water in different circumstances. Influence of velocity, flow, deposition of sediment all need consideration. As the Stan Moses Reserve project shows, we created varied bank designs. For example, the outer curves where the water moves faster were stabilised with rock revetment to prevent erosion, and the inner curves were designed for deposition of silt. We re-established a salt marsh to clean the water. Schauberger, a key German scientist, studied the natural flows of rivers, and in his studies indicated that temperature gradient plays an important role both in the way water moves in rivers and also in the structure of the water masses within the river. So these cascading terraces and the little stream both have changing gradients, temperatures and movements, all helping to create healthy water. For the EastCom City project in Hangzhou, we successfully applied this research and transformed a polluted agricultural canal into a healthy, biologically cleaned water system that has become the jewel of this high-tech green development. These aerating terraces help to create cleaner water in the new canal through using changes of level, aeration and wetland filters. Aeration is really important to include in water designs as it provides additional oxygen in the water, along with movement and temperature changes which all assist the water's health. My doctorate titled The Blue-Green Process, Expressing and Recycling Rainwater, covered a wide range of topics on this subject. Vegetation and water are closely integrated and need to be considered in synergy with each other. For the Water Play project in Still Park, Sydney, we not only provided a new water play park that recycled the rainwater and toilet block water, but also improved the surrounding environment through converting an existing car park at the low point of the site, adjacent the Cooks River, into a salt marsh to improve biodiversity and improve the water quality of the river system. We integrated stormwater treatments within the park to clean the stormwater prior to it releasing into the salt marsh and finally releasing back into the river. For the Hangzhou New CBD Foreshore Park in China, a major 2-kilometre long park along the Shantung River, we used water as the linking design element through the site to articulate the spaces. Through a constrained site with 75% of the area as roof garden, we harvested the stormwater from roofs, pavements and car parks for recycling and cleaning before releasing the water back into the river. Cleaning incorporated wetland filter plants in contemporary designs, aerating terraces and multifunctional water play areas. Research across the globe reinforces that water is not only a physical constituent of all living organisms, but that it also has a life of its own. It is these organic qualities that are often overlooked by conventional science. Water's consciousness has been ignored for centuries. There is now growing interest and knowledge resurfacing to support the view that, as John Wilkes, and I quote, said, "Water is the most precious resource for which humankind needs to develop a universal and alert consciousness." I was fortunate to attend the 37th Heido workshop in Tokyo in April this year, where I learnt more about this field and actually observed a water crystal forming under a microscope. It is well documented that crystal analysis can help assist us in creating cleaner water across the globe. The awareness of water's consciousness is growing, and with it, a movement towards world peace. I'd like to conclude with a poem that I wrote the morning of a talk I gave in Zhuhai in China in April. It seemed to resonate with the people and also in Japan, so I hope you like it. Its essence is about how to create nature in the city, or a city in nature. The site we're looking at was had very polluted canals and water systems. It's about to be rejuvenated. So I wrote this poem to try and influence the decision makers and to get the values for the project instilled in the people that were fortunate enough to be working on this amazing project. City in nature. Where is nature? How can we do this? What do we see? How do we move through the city, the spaces? Nature is trees, birdsong. Follow the birdsong. Close your eyes. Listen. Feel. Be led through. Nature is all about senses. Sight, sound, touch, feeling. Heighten the awareness of these senses. From the mountains to the sea, take me on the journey. On that journey, how is the water being cleaned? How does the landscape speak, feel? What do we experience as humans? How do the birds and animals go from place to place? Where is their next tree to rest in, to sing in? Where can the bees go to pollinate? How is the site's essence, its genius loci, being expressed, being felt? What legacy are you leaving for your children, your grandchildren? Have we done a good job as healers, restorers of planet Earth? Can you hear the birds? Are the healthy fish? Is the water clean? Is it healthy? Can it breathe? Where can you hear the ocean rather than traffic noise? How have you connected with nature? What tools can you bring to bring nature through this city? How have you achieved this vision? What are your values, your objectives, your design principles? These need to guide your daily tasks, your meetings with officials and developers. They need to be strong and backed by research, especially ecological water planning, to stand up, to be heard, to be respected. Thank you for listening. I hope I've given you some inspiration for your water journey, and please reach out to continue the conversation with me if you'd like to. I've also left below my email contact and the link to my professional doctorate, which is on the blue-green process and covers many more topics. Thank you.